Big up, you Flat Cap Army. Big up, you Harris Army. Big up, all you Pasta Coglu disciples. We are just off the back of another display of what Ange Ball is really all about. Now, I know I'm not the person you were expecting to see. I am the super sub that nobody ever wanted. You got to have your token yank in there on this channel. We all know that. I'm picking up the slack right now. We're expecting David, the real Irish Hotspur, to come up, make his appearance shortly. But I got to say, man, it is an honor and a pleasure to meet the Oracle himself. I know we got a guy named Jory in the crowd in the community that we like to call the Joracle, but the real Oracle is the man who knew it all along, who knew how this script was going to be written and played out. I'm talking about Mr. Paul Beatty, the Hotspur hippie himself. How you doing, Paul?
I'm all right. Well, when you've seen the same story a few times, you kind of know what the ending is. It's not rocket science, man. But yeah, I'm very, very happy at the moment. I thought it was a great performance and it was a good result, and we're 2 points clear, man. All the other teams are having to do the calculations. Oh, if Spurs lose that game, if they draw that game, because we're setting the pace. It's great.
Sometimes when I listen to you, I feel like I'm listening to the guy who wrote the Bible, and we're all just trying to catch up, It's like, I knew she was going to bite the apple. I knew Ange Ball was going to wreck shop. You're right though. You've seen it. You've seen it before. You've seen it happen before, but there's a couple of things I'd like to talk about this evening about some possible changes, maybe if you've seen them, in how Ange is adapting his game into the Premier League, if that's what you see, if the players around are dictating that kind of a change, if it even exists. But first off, I'd like to get to know, did you see what you expected tonight? Was it more or less, or was it just dead on what you were expecting?
I think it was I don't think Fulham gave us much of a game, really, unfortunately for them. And I think we started the game really strongly. First 10 minutes were great.
Mm-hmm.
Then Fulham had a couple of counter-attacks. But then really from 30 minutes to the end of the first half, I was just laughing. I was just watching this thinking, what kind of football is this?
Oh, man.
As far like our tight passing in the danger areas that's the thing that's really improving now, because we've struggled against teams that defend. And I think we're finding ways through now. So, look, I knew we'd do well. I didn't think it'd be this quick, the transformation, to be honest. I've been saying that. I knew success would come, but it looks like it's coming a bit earlier than even I thought. I'm just loving the way the players are just playing with confidence, and they're not scared to try something completely stupid. And when it comes off, it's amazing.
That's absolutely, you know what? And it's as a man who's seen what Ange Ball looks like in many different forms and coming up now, I'm also amazed at how quickly everybody's taken to it. But I got to feel that he's dealing with a level of player that's a few levels above what he's used to working with. And he's working with now some seasoned star athletes within the toughest league out there. Obviously that's playing into it. But there are things such as those tight pockets of play within the box that, although they're beautiful to watch, it seems to me like something sometimes is just not clicking exactly the way it can or it should be at sometimes. It's basically that final, the clinical finishing in front of goal when you got four attackers within the box itself. There's a goal there. Something should be coming right now, but it's just like people are getting in the way a little bit too much. I'm wondering, is this just something that's going to take time, or is this because you're dealing with players like Son and Maddison? We saw it today when Maddison was on the run. Son said, okay, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take that shot. Maddison didn't look too happy about it. I think you could call it a miscommunication. Some people may call it a little bit of selfishness. Do you think this is something we have to worry about, or do you think this is something that can be worked out?
Yeah, I think we're improving. So, like a few games ago, in and around the box, sometimes we just run out of ideas. I mean, we'd still be winning games, but we'd be going around the edge of their area, not quite sure what to do. Whereas now, at least we're getting in the area, we're knocking the ball around, and shots might not be, people might not be pulling the trigger at the right time, but that'll come. I think we're improving so rapidly at the moment. I don't really care that we're not scoring all those chances or not, because we're scoring enough. We won 2-0.
That's right.
That's all that counts. And look, I think you're exactly on the money, Nick. Seeing Ange, who's a fantastic manager with players that are superb, then I'm just seeing a whole different level of football from an Ange Postecoglou team at the moment. And this is just the bloody start for us as well. We've got so much improvement and headroom to put our big heads into. It's incredible. So I'm just loving it. I'm loving every moment of watching every game at the moment.
I mean, and for the most part, this man is still dealing with somebody else's team. There are only two players, precious few, that he's given his okay on. He's still working with people who still have 3, maybe more seasons of a completely different type of football drilled into their heads. And it's like they're playing with the shackles off finally, and they're allowed to express themselves. I'm going to focus right now on one particular player that maybe, hasn't got as much shine, although, people talk about it a lot, in Kulusevski. You talked about confidence there. And what I was banging on over and over again last season was, okay, there are games that we dominated, a couple of them, but where the team cohesion broke down was just nobody was relying on their own ability that they were showing at the beginning of the year. And we could go into why that is. We go into the breakdown between Conte and the dressing room, the Conte's losses, the loss of the Marine himself. I think that's not spoken about as much as far as being let me know if anything crazy happens in the audio, man. Yeah, I see looking at it. But we can talk about just what happened in the back room and how that really just destroyed the whole cohesion of the team at the time. But it seems like his Ange's ability to tell these players to just do what you feel good at, do what you is your natural skill, and I want to get the most out of that. That looks like what Kulusevski now, he's convinced that it's okay. It's okay if what I'm trying to do is just run all the way to the byline and cut back in. Ange is going to use that to the best of his ability, as tactically. He's going to open up possibilities with the other players and try to get the best out of them. I mean, how do you think Kulu did today?
I think he's great. He's looking like the player we bought 2 years ago. Last season, well, everyone was dreadful last year, weren't they? So you can't really point the finger too much. But and the thing I really like about Kula and Richarlison today is when you compare how much pressure our forward line put the Fulham defence when they were they had the ball. They had the ball. They could have done whatever they want, but we were right up them. Up them. And you compare that when our defenders had the ball, a couple of moments for Fulham, but they weren't really putting us under pressure. So not only is Kulu finding his feet, getting past players and getting the ball in, he's really a pain in the backside for the other team when they've got the ball. Our forwards are doing so much running, man. They're incredible.
Yeah. And, I mean, as much as we're getting up in their box and creating the chances, we could talk about a little bit later, man, it should be just these score lines should be cricket scores. They should be basketball scores. It'll
come, man. Look, Celtic had I remember one result was a 9-0. They had a 7-0. It will come. Scoring a goal is the hardest thing. Otherwise, score lines would be 20 to 15. It doesn't matter. You get 20 shots, you might get 1 goal. That's the way football is. But now and then, a game will happen where all those chances and things do happen, and that's when you do get the stupid score. So we're going to have, I'm sure, we're going to have one of those games sooner or later, man. Sooner or later. The other I just like to mention, because he's hassling on the ball, and it was also his work that really led to both goals, was Højbjerg. Højbjerg was fantastic today. So
I got to admit to have been a little nervous about how he was going to come out, but frankly, you know what? I shouldn't be at this stage, man. You know, you may not like the guy, but you know that he's going to put 100%. I don't care what the press says about, oh, he's had his head turned, or he's not giving 100%, or he's turning his head while he's walking down the back into the dressing room. That means something. We're living in a TMZ. Do they have TMZ in Australia? Do they have that? Yeah. So we're living in a TMZ version of sports journalism now, where if somebody looks coyly at somebody else, they think they got a romance going on right now, and it's just no way to try to analyze football right now. What you got to do is go with what you know about the player, what you've seen from them on and off the pitch right now. Højbjerg is going to give 100% right now, and I'm a little bit I got a different point of view about what we should do as far as Højbjerg goes, but unlike the last 3 games in a row, I was not nervous about this one. I've been really nervous because I'm on my edge of my seat, just waiting for that one game we're going to lose. And then I kind of feel like I can just let it all go at that point and start the season over again because that monkey is off my back. But it hasn't happened yet. This one, oddly enough, though, right out the gate, maybe it's because we started real strong. I don't know. But even with Højbjerg there and Bissouma, who's been our anchor, not there, I just wasn't as nervous. Maybe I'm just getting used to winning, which is a weird-ass feeling to be when you're a Spurs fan in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, like I was confident going in, but like you got that little doubt. Oh, what if we stuff this one up?
It's always there, man. And you're a Tottenham fan. Luton. It's going to be Luton. It's going to be these guys who are at the bottom of the league. It's going to be them, or it's Fulham. We dropped. We lost the match to them a month and a half ago. It's going to come back as a curse. These things are quickly dissipating, man. It's the Spursiness, the curse of it, because all of that is excuses for how we try to rationalize the result that we just saw when we just don't like it, But right now we're seeing what the power that a real confident manager can have on a bunch of very, very good players, man. And something I want to dip into that you talked about a little bit is how solid we were defensively. We know that's been, especially how we're getting through right now. Even if we're not finishing the massive amount of chances we're getting, our defense, they just can't deal with them. And it seems to me I'm starting, because I'm not a tactical genius myself. I'm still learning a lot. I take my cues from people who know a lot more. However, I'm starting to understand there is a one passage of play where ball goes out to the right, and their right winger is wide open, all open, because Udogie is playing the inverted role, and he's tucked into the midfield. But I can see the plan now, where Romero and Van de Ven are so tight on their players, are so man marking them so bad. It doesn't matter if that player has space. Ange knows that Udogie has the speed. Not only Van de Ven, but Udogie has the speed and physicality to get back there in time, and that Van de Ven and Romero are going to be able to stick so tight and drop back deep enough when they need to that there's not going to be a viable outlet ball for them. And it seems like, that's the play. Let them run. Give them the space. We're kind of pushed off over to our right-hand side because Porro doesn't have that same speed and physicality that Udogie has. So we got to protect that a little. But Udogie, you can give a wide berth of space because he's got so much in his bag defensively and offensively, and that's the plan that I can kind of see developing now. I don't know. Have you seen any other ways that are Ainge specific as to how he marshals a defense in particular?
Nah, man, look, like you, man, tactics just aren't my thing. The only thing I could say about Celtic were their centre halves of Cameron Carter-Vickers and Starfelt, which played nearly every single game. They played. They kind of had similar roles. Like the Cameron Carter-Vickers was immense. He's like an oak tree for Celtic, and very fast as well. And there were times in that game, both Udogie and Van der Ven, Fulham's on the march, and it's like they just stroll over to the player, take the ball off them, and then it's a Tottenham attack. And like tactically, I got very confused when Udogie came off for
Emerson. Yeah,
and I couldn't figure out. Did they swap sides, or
is there an inversion there? Yeah, but you know what? That's another window in, because you saw. So I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I really like to talk about defense right now, because I think it's real interesting. I see kind of a development. What I see is a little bit of game management coming up at the end. I know that's kind of that may be a not so pleasant phrase for a lot of people, especially people who enjoy all-out attack. And what we were sold, and what we've seen a lot, is that, Ange, we never stop. We're always going on the attack. However, the first group of changes he made, Skip and Emerson, and for me, that felt like it was a game management. It felt like I want to make sure that I'm solid enough in the back, and our tired people, Udogie's got to play on Friday. I don't want him tiring out. I don't want him doing anything stupid. I don't know how many cards Udogie's on now, too, but I know it's probably racking up a little bit. It seemed to me like it was a bit more pragmatic rather than an all-out attack move for him to put on an Emerson on the left-hand side. Am I just trying to pull out theories out of the air? What do you think? We got Dave in the house too, man. Big up, Dave. And big up all the Flat Cap and Harris Army out there. Thank you for joining us. I know it's very late on your side of the Atlantic for most of you. We're doing 3 time zones right here, bringing something special for you right now, as we like to do. If you feel like getting a question in, you know how to do it. Throw in the super chats. We're looking at all questions we can. My eyesight isn't as good as it used to be, so I will try my best. But we got Dave-O in here. How you doing, Dave?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm buzzing like the rest of you guys. Best start to a season ever under Ange Postecoglou. We're replicating how the 60-61 side started off, and win tonight on Bill Nick, 19 years today, all white under the lights. I mean, it's poetic, really, isn't it? You couldn't write it. Maybe it is Bill Nick looking over us and casting this magic spell on us. But to your point, I think, look, there was no Ben Davies on the bench, so I think that's probably why Emerson came on today. I think it was more sort of it needs most. But I would argue, even if Davies was there, I still think Emerson might have got the call, though. Look, for me, Ange Postecoglou doesn't want to be relying on some of them players he brought on today, the likes of Skip, the likes of, Davies when he's done it in the past. And I'm not even sure, after tonight's performance, even the likes of Lo Celso. But
I'm gonna get into a little bit of that too in a minute. But yeah, I agree 100%.
Until January, he has to keep them all involved and utilize what he can up until January, at least until maybe more decisions are made. But on the back line, I think, look, for me, I think that's the biggest improvement that we've made. That's what's getting us these points. Last season, many of these games would have been 2-2, 3-2, 4-3, high-scoring games. This season, I was only saying it during the watch along. Imagine you're a centre forward coming up against Tottenham, right? You can't hold up the ball because you've got Romero badgering you, and you can't look for it in behind because you've got Van der Ven cleaning it up. So no matter what you do, you're having a horrible day.
Right.
But they can also progress the ball out. Like this style of football, Ange Postecoglou couldn't play this with Lloris, Dyer, and Davies trying to play it out from the back. But when you look at the players that we're now using, Vicario, for instance, refuses to go long. So calm. Play it out to the centre-backs, out to the full-backs. They then give it into the midfield, and that allows our midfield and our forward line to get on the ball with quality ball, and that's what leads to this style of football, because if we didn't have that, we go back to what we were doing last year, pinging long 60-yard balls up to Harry Kane, looking for him to take it down and play off him, which is impossible. So, the back line for me has been the biggest difference. We ain't scoring any more than what we would without Harry Kane. We're still scoring in around the same, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
But the biggest difference is the clean sheets. And it's something I argue time and time and time against all them Dyer lovers and all them Sanchez lovers last season, that these are not the guys and Davies that you need to be pinning your teams on and backing. They're useless, they're weak, they're spineless. And when pressure comes on, they crumble. You look at the guys we've got now, young, hungry, want to win things, and they actually get a stiffy for keeping clean sheets. They have a passion for keeping clean sheets, which we did not see in the past.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. And, Ange Ball or not, you got to love it. But if we were playing a back four with Van de Ven and Romero in the center last season, you would have seen us in Europe without a doubt, 100% with all of the problems that we had, man. Speaking on the substitutions, because I think because what we did see, despite, well, you know what, before let's go into, Paul, who was your man of the match?
It's
if you could pick
I'm loving this because it's so hard to pick, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's so many candidates, I mean, off the top of my head, I might well just, pick Vicario, because, you can't win anything if you haven't got a top quality keeper.
Yeah.
And we got one. And he showed it. I mean, that first save he did, I was so convinced that was going in. I could almost see the back of the net ripple. And then it's like, what? Vicario got... Okay, so, if Lloris was there, that would have been a 2-2, wouldn't it? So...
Yeah, and he does it he's cool as a cucumber in a bowl of ice cream, man. Beautiful. Like he's not even fazed about it. He knows he was going to get that, man.
Yeah, look, I bet there's so many. I mean, Pedro Porro had a good game. Madison, Son, Kulusevski, Van de Ven, I mean, it was rubbish. No one. Richarlison was. I thought Richarlison had a great game today.
Richarlison, I thought was good. However, it just comes to, it's if he doesn't score and the chances drop to him and he skies them like he does, it's just that's never going to go away. That's never not going to be the point that people look at. And I really think that just, man, I've got all the patience in the world for pretty much any Spurs player up into a certain point. My patience is just like I want to back him so much, but there's got to be an improvement. There's another player that we can get for less money somewhere that's just going to do a better job, I think. But I don't want to make this the let's harp on Richarlison time. What I want to do is make it the let's harp on Lo Celso time, because I'm telling you right now, in that last time that we played Fulham, what got me so nervous about today was seeing the three midfield combination, PH, Skippy, and Lo Celso. And I think aside from our defense being so solid, huge difference from last year is this year we control the midfield. We control the midfield compared to every team that we faced so far, bar Liverpool, where I argue we did still control the midfield hell of a lot better than they did. What happens, though, and where I believe our strength is there, is Madison, Basuma have what I'm trying to come up with as what I'm calling an on-pitch personality. And they have a dominant personality on the pitch. I mean, not only do they want the ball, they want play to be dictated through them. And they're such different players that they play different styles. They complement each other. However, you got Højbjerg, Skip, and Lo Celso on there. You don't have that dominant personality there. Lo Celso will not be that dominant personality. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want the spotlight on him to be the focal point for creation. That's why you see in Argentina, he thrives with other people that he can feed off of. He can create something, but he knows that the pressure and the spotlight is going to be on Messi or Dybala or any of the other really, really talented people he's working with. He needs them. He needs to feed off them. When you put him in the spotlight, he doesn't really know what to do. Now, I may be making something out of nothing because the man has only had about 15 minutes of football in the last couple of months, if anything. But that's what I'm seeing. Then you put Højbjerg and Skip with them. It's like, where is your attacking impetus going to come from? I don't want to take anything away from Højbjerg's display today, but it's that combination I just don't think will work. Any thoughts?
Look, we know Højbjerg from from seasons gone by that he's not going to be the guy that's going to be the linchpin in your midfield that, will spring your midfield into action. And what I mean by that is when you put Harry Winks beside him, he didn't elevate Winks. When Bentancur got injured last year, Skip came in, he didn't elevate Skip. But Højbjerg, when he plays with Bentancur, was fantastic. Højbjerg, when he played today with Madison and Sarr, was absolutely fantastic. And we are in a danger here, and I see it happening because we're winning and we're top of the league, we're unbeaten. We're overlooking and giving some players free passes that have not come to this party, like Lo Celso. He had 45 minutes against Fulham in the Carabao Cup. Was bloody atrocious. He came on there today, bloody atrocious. Skip, bloody atrocious again today, in my opinion. And my problem with this is, because everything's so good, we're giving these guys a free pass, but they're not the right players for Tottenham Hotspur. There's a lot made that, look, they only had the 8 minutes plus 7 minutes. That's more than 15 minutes to make an impact. They didn't want to do that. And then you hear a lot of things going around where, players need a run of games to perform. No, you don't. You didn't hear Lo Celso calling for a run of games before he made it to professional level. He was at it every single day of the week. The difference is, with the money involved in football now, a lot of players lose that hunger, that desire, and maybe that motivation and passion because of the money they're on, and they get complacent. We've had too many of them at Tottenham over the last few years. Lo Celso's another one of them. When a player comes on for Tottenham Hotspur, and they're a backup or they're a fringe player, over the last few years, all we've heard from these guys is moan, 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 moan. I want minutes. Okay, well, when a manager puts you on the field, show us you deserve them minutes. And this is the problem. A lot of these players think they should just be given the minutes. Minutes are earned. And at the elite level, at Tottenham Hotspur, every minute should be looked upon as a golden opportunity. And some of these players, they don't look at it like that. They just go out there, roll through the motions. If we were against a better team today than Fulham, if they took that chance where Vicario made a good save near the end, different game. And I don't hinge my hat on Lo Celso or Skip digging in to try and get us over the line in that situation.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't overlook the fact that some of these guys are not good enough for what we need going forward. I already see a lot of people going, I can't wait to see Lo Celso again. What's he done? Nothing.
Well, you know what, man? I was his biggest supporter for a while there. And, I just, like I said, tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. There was so many things, injuries, questions of attitude, etc. But he's on my list right now of players you can get $1 for. You can get a couple pounds for. It's time to refresh in a complete sense and not just be sentimental about things. And I know it's not a very popular opinion right now, and I love him just as much as anybody else, but I think Højbjerg is on that list too for me. Despite how good of a performance he put in today, I think that's great. He shows exactly what kind of a professional he is. But we know there's talk about us bringing in midfielders who have similar traits but are a little bit younger and have a little bit more in their locker. And I think the reason is because you have to sell players at their peak time to sell them at some time. It's not like you're selling your best player, but there is a time to sell Højbjerg. That time, in my opinion, is right now where you can get maximum for him. He's going to be happy about going because there are teams that will start him. He wants to start, and there are other players that we need to bring in that are, that, for lack of a better term, fit the system better, man. And the more and more I think about it, the more a player like Eze makes a hell of a lot more sense to me. You bring in a guy like Eze, he's going to take he's Højbjerg and Lo Celso with goals and assists in him. That's subject matter we may be getting a little too far into. But
look, I just want to say, on that, I do hear what people are saying, but I hear more people clamoring to get Richarlison and Højbjerg sold in January than I do getting Eric Dyer out of this football club. Davies, Lo Celso, who's been loaned out because he hasn't done it under previous managers. We need to realise at Tottenham, we need a squad. The reason why we went out of the Carabao Cup is because we don't have a squad. When you look at it from a squad perspective, and we have to, because we're going to be challenging on all four fronts next season under Ange Postecoglou. People think he's here for a rebuild. He ain't. Secretly, he's here to win things. He's a born winner. He does it everywhere he goes. He lets people think he's this sort of, clown character. He's here for a rebuild. He ain't. Underneath the surface, he lets you think that while he's over here plotting a way to win. And with Højbjerg, he's proven to me that, yes, he can be a good squad player. There's going to be games there. We need to rotate next year with Europe, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Premier League. So there will be games there. It might not be there this season. But Højbjerg is a better squad player than a Skip, then a Lo Celso, and then other players. There needs to be a different narrative around, especially Højbjerg, in my opinion. Because I just don't like, that I see players that care, like Richarlison. Okay, it may not have gone well for him. I like Højbjerg. I see players that genuinely care. But yet there's more people wanting these guys out of the club than guys that have been out on that pitch week in, week out under previous managers that we have seen don't give a shit. And we need to stop this whole thing about just the first 11. We need a squad. If we don't get that squad together, expect more embarrassing cup exits. By the way, last thing before I let Paul in. Last time around, everyone blamed the Carabao Cup on Ange Postecoglou.
Right.
Well, when he puts out the real team, it just goes to show Postecoglou ain't the bloody problem. The squad players, or some of the players that people want to give free passes, are the issue. But you won't hear that spoke about today. Doesn't suit the agenda.
We won't dip into it too much further, but I do watch just about all of your content, Paul. I haven't heard specifically where you stand on the sell or keep Højbjerg issue.
Well, unless other players come up or whatever, I'd be keeping him. I'd be keeping him. He showed today, like David said, my memory's not very good. If you put Højbjerg in with two, like today, with Maddison and Sarr, he fits right in. He had a great game today. He's not Basuma, but he's good enough. But if you're playing with Skip and Lo Celso, there's not a lot. He dribbles out, but that's more on Lo Celso and Skip. I think I'll be getting rid of those two, and then Højbjerg would be great as a squad player, because don't forget we got Basuma and we got Bentancur, so we do have options in the midfield. I'd be keeping him for sure, absolutely.
Gotcha. And just to acknowledge the the comments in the chat, we're just talking about Højbjerg. Nobody's saying that he had a bad game today, man. We all acknowledge across the board he did exactly what he was expected of him and put in a damn fine shift, man. We didn't lose a step basically without having Basuma there. But the question still is there. What do you do about Højbjerg? Højbjerg, and here's the problem. Højbjerg does not want to be an off-the-bench player. That is clear. So where are you, commenters? What if he wants to be playing first team? What do you do with him? And this is a problem that we have all across the pitch. We are not Manchester City right now. I'm sorry, it's just a fact. I know, but here's where I'm going with that. They have the ability, because they're guaranteed trophies every single year, that they can bring in people who are just happy enough to sit on the bench. It doesn't matter if they play 15 minutes for an entire year. It's not going to hurt their career. Their career is only going to elevate. Even if they leave the next year, it's going to be like, well, I played for City for that year and I got this. I can go on and do whatever. No other team in this league has that advantage when bringing in players to sit on the bench. That's why we have a difficult time getting a quality person to be back up to our two center backs. And we did at the end of the summer. We're going to have this problem going forward, at least for another season, in my opinion, and where we have to be very astute, and Ange has to be very involved in this player selection, because he has to have trust that he's going to be able to have somebody that's not going to pull an attitude problem off the bench because they're not getting enough minutes.
If we're like 5 to 10 points clear by the time the January transfer window comes around, no one's going to be wanting to go. Højbjerg ain't going to be wanting to go. You want to win a league title, man. And I've been hearing this about Man City. Oh, they've got their second 11's as good as their first. No, it's not, is it? Without De Bruyne, without Rodri, they're not as good as us. So, every team in the Premier League has this issue. You've got your best team, and then you've got your subs and your squad players, and they're never as good as the first team. It's a myth. Oh, you can just interchange all these players. Bollocks, you can. You've always got your best players. So I've shown at Spurs that I think we can compete, Because even when Lo Celso and Skip came on, we still won. You know, we won 2-0. You know, and when they've come on before, I'm not saying they're great players or anything. And I agree with you. If we're going to upgrade players, Lo Celso and Skip, Dyer, Davies, gone. But we're showing we can get results. We can nick late goals even with these people on the pitch. And I just think that, you know, it's part of a narrative that's trying to say that we're paper thin. And we are absolutely not. Look at us up front, man. We got loads of injuries, but we still look fantastic. And we've still got a whole bloody new front line to come on the pitch. So, you know, there's plenty of opportunity for us to strengthen. But what I'm seeing is that we're pretty damn strong already. We're number one. We're the best team. We are playing the best football team. We're playing the best football in the country right now when we're winning goals and everyone's smiling. So there you go. Proof of the pudding on the table, man.
Look, I agree with Paul. I think, you know, if we're still in the title race for top of the league come January, Højbjerg won't want to go anywhere. But look, you know, I just think this is where Ange Postecoglou maybe needs to sort of, you know, get into Højbjerg and just say, look, this season it is what it is, but next season there's going to be 50, 60 odd games across the season. We're going to need you. There's going to be plenty of games there for you, plenty of minutes. And if you play like you did today, there's no reason for me not to select you. You know, and it's just about getting him on side and getting his head right. And so I wouldn't say all is lost with Højbjerg yet. Look, if Højbjerg wants out, ultimately the player usually ends up winning and you usually get him out because you don't want an unhappy camp. But what I don't want to hear anybody start trying to tell me is that Højbjerg's going to upset people. He's going to dismantle what's going on. That guy could have done it already. He didn't. He came in tonight. He didn't have an attitude about him, and he put his heart on his sleeve and went out there and performed. Even though he could have had an attitude about him and not done it and everything else. Højbjerg is not one of them players that upsets the camp. For me, I just think give Postecoglou a bit more time with him, and he might be able to sway him and just gear him maybe his mindset and focus towards next season where there will be a lot more opportunities.
I totally agree, man. The man is a professional. You know, it's we relied on him so much for the last few seasons. I give him his credit. I'm just not so sure, you know, of where his future lies and how I feel about it. Neither of you have convinced me differently, so we'll just agree to disagree on this one right now. But right now, you know what? I want to talk about substitutes because I think the three of us agree outside of for about a 30-minute spell in the first half where creativity dropped off a little bit. We were sitting, it may have been more than 20, but the first 11 did a substantially good and solid job. They did what they were asked to do. Some chances weren't taken, but two phenomenal chances were, and chances were created. But the subs, I think, is the biggest talking point for a lot of people. How we had two phases essentially. We had the Skip Emerson phase. Emerson surprised a lot of people by taking over for the Ogie, and then we basically had the front line change. How would you grade, or what did you think of those two shifts in momentum, and were they effective to you? Essentially, Paul, what about the first shift of Skip to Emerson?
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna question Ange on this, you know, and I don't see it as game management. I see it as Premier League title challenge management. You know, we're playing another game on Friday.
On Friday, yep.
You know, and these players, right, that are coming on, and I'm not saying they're brilliant or anything like that, but I think they are getting better each game. They are doing the job a bit better. Like, in the first couple of games of the season, there'd be a lot of sideways and backwards rubbish, you know.
Yeah.
That's being cut out, although it's not going, you know, they haven't got the skill to do the forward stuff as much.
You're talking about Skip specifically.
Skip, mainly Skip. Yeah, Skip is the main one. I mean, Skip and Lo Celso were, you know, not great today. But on the other hand, Fulham, we didn't let Fulham put us under pressure. It wasn't like I was sitting there in injury time going, oh, no, Skip's on the pitch. Because we were firmly in control of the game. So I think Ange is playing it exactly right. He you know, he feels how a game's going. He's standing there calm like the Fonz on the sideline, and he's just calm as anything. And he nips trouble in the bud before it happens. So I think the substitutions today were absolutely spot on. And we got the result, and substitutions in his other games have been spot on because it's got us wins. Whereas, I wasn't worried. I obviously we're not going to be as flary and as champagne football, but they did a job. They did a job, so I'm happy.
Okay, David.
Look, Emerson, I'm okay with. I thought maybe there was a couple of opportunities, maybe a bit laxy-daisy on the ball. But look, everybody sort of was in that second half. And Postecoglou alluded to it in his press conference. Skip, what did he do? I just don't see it. And I don't like harping on the poor guy, but this is something I spoke about 6 months ago, that he wasn't good enough. Everyone called me a donut and said I didn't know what I'm talking about. But he just doesn't know. He just doesn't affect the game. He had his chance at the start of the season against Brentford. Didn't do much. Sarr came in against Man United and showed exactly the levels that Skip needs to drag himself to. But that's where we lost control. That last 10 minutes or that last 15, 20 minutes, they came at us. We're lucky that they're toothless and they couldn't pick two passes between them. But we lost control of the midfield when he came on, in my opinion. And look, the only reason why I say it is because sitting here and being delusional about the kid, telling him he's great and everything else and that he doesn't need to improve ain't going to get him to the level he needs to get to. But by sitting here and being honest about the kid and saying, look, you need to wise up. You need to pull your game to the next level or your career is going to go the same way as Harry Winks. That will do him more benefit. Look, 2-0 up, we got the job done. That's why Ange was comfortable enough on making them. But if we were up against a better team and they took that goal in the 80-odd minute where Carroll made a great save, it's a different game, and I think we'd be having different conversations. We got by today. The bench isn't good enough. It's not. What I will say, though, is one thing Ange Postecoglou does deserve credit for is, and Paul's right, a lot of his substitutions this season have been correct. I remember he brought on Højbjerg in a game earlier on in the season. It just gave us that bit more stability in midfield protection. He brought on Højbjerg again against Liverpool, actually. Took Basuma off. Basuma was slowing everything down. Højbjerg came on, quickened it up. That intensity is what went and got us that winner. So a lot of Postecoglou actually game against Sheffield United. Any one of that front three could have came off that day. He kept Kulu on and he went and got the winner. So a lot of Postecoglou sort of substitutions have been justified. But, I do think Ange Postecoglou will want more from his substitutes. He's bringing them on to make an impact, to bring that intensity, to keep that intensity. And when they fail to do that, they haven't done what he's asked them to do.
Agreed, man. Agreed. I don't want to harp on Skip too much. We all got to remember he's off the back of two horrendous, potentially career-ending injuries. He clearly has lost many steps since then. When he first came on the pitch, man, I actually didn't think he did too bad. I was like, all right, just don't do anything stupid and you'll get us through this game. However, it's like his passing got progressively worse, and he did make a very good recovery tackle after a horrendous pass right into a defender. Yeah, exactly. But that was typical of his game. Emerson, on the other hand, man, I actually think he did exactly what he was asked to do. It's going forward. We're not expecting much, especially playing on the opposite side. With his right foot, but he was not on that left side, he plays that inverted fullback role very well on that side because he's got the ability that Ange needs, like I was saying before, to follow the plan defensively, to follow the defensive plan and cover those open spaces on that side there. So all in all, I think that those changes, why take off Sarr is my question. Is it because we're saving him for Friday?
He was ill.
Oh, right. He took a little bit of a knock. So, boom, you have to do it. You have to take off Sarr. We got it. We got a late-minute entry here. We got the Texan, the two guns blazing, the hot sauce, the man with all the spice and the smoothest voice on YouTube today. I'm just going to go right out there and say it. It's Big Jacob from United Spurs of America who's getting the cologne ready because he's ready for the quiet storm.
We smelling good.
Jake.
We're looking good. Big up, everybody. Sorry I'm so late. It's been a tight window to incorporate today, but what a beautiful win. I don't know how y'all have been feeling thus far. I know some people said second half we fell off. I say second half clean sheet, baby. Don't
True.
talk to me. It's time to talk to Tottenham nicely.
Well, we were just going into specifically starting to talk about the substitutions, and we were starting in the midfield, and I was going to work our way up. What our general consensus? Skip, was unimpressive once again. How did you feel about Skip? But I want to hear a little bit more about how you feel Emerson did on that left-hand side.
For Oliver, Skip is just like great tackle. I loved it. So fancy with that neat tackle, won the ball. And then what did he do? It was just like a pass. It was like, and it's just like, so much. It's hard to describe the way that Skip makes me feel because I want so much for him, but I'm scared he's going the Winksy direction.
Yep.
And I'm afraid of that. Because I don't want any Spurs lads to not be successful with Tottenham Hotspur. That's just a bias, a general bias I have with the club. I wanted Winks to be good, and then eventually, after years and years of showing me he's not, we're getting to the point where it's years now, plural, where we've seen Oliver Skip, not from the team of the year with Norwich Skip. We've seen Skip with us, not loaned out, here, playing matches, and it's just, I have a hard time really having too much great to say when it's just like the good, the bad, and the ugly. I know I say that for Højbjerg. I sometimes say it for Kulusevski, and I have to say it for Oliver Skip. But at Oliver Skip's rate, it is much worse because I just feel like, again, that tackle, you're just like, mwah, love that. Thank you so much. Who was that? Oh, it's Oliver Skip. And then he passes the ball to nobody.
Yeah.
It was just very upsetting. It's just, how long do we wait? And it's like Sessegnon. He just needs time and confidence. How long until we say he's had time? We've given him the confidence that we can give him at some point. It's up to the player to just go out there and execute. And he does.
Oh, man. And you know that it's only a matter of time till we open up that can of worms again, too. You spoke of the name, Sessegnon, the ghost player, the ghost left back. I got a feeling that we are going to see him sometime this year. And Ainge is going to give him a run out because basically I think he just has to make a decision of whether he's got to go somewhere or not. But we don't want to get into that. We want to talk about the surprise left back for the evening. How'd you feel about Emerson's performance today or his cameo appearance in a different place and time today?
Ange Postecoglou has always applauded the fact, at least to my knowledge, when he's been here at Spurs, he said, I like players who are versatile, who are not just locked into one thing. They have an open mind and an open style of playing. Emerson's that to a T. The guy spent $1 million of his own bucks to try and make his game better. That's a guy committed to try and be better. So, take the piss out of him all you want. Say what you will about him going forward. But the guy will come in. This isn't the first time he's played left back neither. He did play left wing back a few times for Conte, I believe. When we were doing the Matt Doherty thing as well, a really weird era that I don't like to think about for us. But this isn't the first time, and I like that. Hey, don't matter where you throw me in there, coach, I'm going to go play. And that's just what he did today. Again, just shows you what he can do and what he also lacks, I think. Like a lot of the players, they just moments where it's like, I just really wish you did better there, but it's kind of frustrating sometimes.
I think he did better than Ben Davies would have done. I mean,
at
least he's got the legs to do a run. I mean, when he gets up the other end, he sort of scratches his head a bit, but I thought Mo did all right,
Yeah, it's hard not to compare him to what else we have on offer, even though he wasn't on the bench. You'd look and say, what would Ben Davies have done in that position? Would he been taken advantage of?
He would have gone just short of the halfway line, then turned inside and passed it sideways.
I sent the ball backwards or sideways. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the first phase of substitution. Go ahead, Dave.
I just want to say quickly, there's a lot made about Postecoglou saying he likes the versatility. I don't like it being called versatility. For me, It's just a player that knows how to play football, that understands what each position requires, and is willing to muck in for the team and play out of position sometimes. Someone that's selfless, not selfish. Doesn't moan when he's played out of position, still goes out and puts a job in. It's not about versatility. It's just about being a team player and willing to do whatever it takes to get the win over the line, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Looks like David froze. Oh, there he is. There he goes. Back again. Gotcha. We lost you for that last half a second there, David. But we got the point, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So moving on to the next stage of, and this is, we're not planning on a real long. We just wanted a recap of today's game. It's something good to go to bed on or start your day on if you're a guy like Paul who lives upside down. But what we want to move into the next round of substitutions, which were essentially the attacking round. You had Brennan Johnson, nice to see. You had Alejo Veliz, and then we already talked about Lo Celso, so I don't even want to rehash that. But Brennan Johnson and Alejo Veliz, and it's a good way to kind of lead into where I was going to go with the end of this. There are two people who we are expecting good things out of, but are really unknown quantities when you get right down to it. Any thoughts particularly on how they did? I really didn't. I thought that Johnson was anonymous, for the most part. Frankly, I didn't see a whole lot from him. I don't know if that's just rustiness. I don't know if that is a lack of just awareness of Premier League time with these players in the system that's doing it. However, Veliz, once again, it's like there's something there. It's something, from what I'm seeing, there's something that we need that he's got, and I'm going to wrap it up after we go around to what I think with where you guys think the result of this game puts us in relation to the rest of the league. And I'm going to give my thoughts on how I feel that we're still not title contenders just yet.
Okay. Well, look, I'll start briefly then. I think Veliz, we talk about, well, actually, I'll start with Brennan Johnson, MIA, pointless exercise. I would rather have given the minutes to Gill, to be honest with you. At least when I see that guy off the bench, he makes an impact and has always wanted to. With Brennan Johnson, I get it, he's only back from a hamstring injury, but you can't go out there with the mindset that the game's already done. And, I just got to, just being thrown out there just to sort of see out the last few minutes. He's a young kid. He's got to avail of every opportunity that's given to him. Richarlison, whether people like Richarlison or not, he's got 4 assists and 1 goal this season. It's not a bad return. It's probably more assists than what other wingers have in the squad right now. So, I mean, if Brennan Johnson wants to get into the team, he has to do better. He just has to try and make stuff happen. Every time the ball went over to him, he lost it. And look, it's a good point that we're actually nitpicking at things and sort of, we're talking about the substitutions not making an impact. Usually we're moaning about first team errors and everything else. It's good that we're at this point. When it comes to Veliz, we talk about a player that wants to make an impact off the bench. That guy done exactly what Postecoglou want. Go and chase things down. Go and make them force them to kick it long or make an error so we can play again. He done exactly what he wanted. And when Lo Celso got on the ball, watch him. He got on his bike, sprinted on the outside of him, looked to make a run in behind. But Lo Celso, A, put the ball over the left-hand side when he made a run on the right-hand side, which was idiotic. But B, he played it too late. And the difference is, Veliz actually wanted to make an impact. And the reason why he keeps getting picked is because when he comes on, he tries. That's what Postecoglou wants, compared to others today. In terms of where does this leave us, I mean, it leaves us top of the league, unbeaten, despite many people saying it wasn't going to happen, despite the Premier League setting Ange Postecoglou and Tottenham up for failure this year, giving us 4 of our first 6 away games, 4 of our first 6 games away from home, and 3 of the big 5. We've overcome it all. I do think a lot of people are looking at squad depth. I do think we've better depth in midfield with Højbjerg and Bentancur than what people give us credit for. Centre-backs, Romero and Van de Ven don't look like getting injured at all. They're having such easy days, so I'm not really too concerned about that right now. And look, people talk about Arsenal being title contenders. They drew against Fulham at home 2-2. They couldn't beat us. There's nothing. They couldn't beat Chelsea at the weekend. But people still talk about them as title contenders, but yet they don't have a striker that bags the goals that will give them a title. So I don't understand why people talk about Arsenal being title contenders and not Tottenham. Man City, fair enough, they're title contenders every year. You can't complain about that. But we're in the mix, and I think we have to shift our mentality. Every game I go into, I see a lot of around social media, everyone giving reasons why Tottenham can't achieve. Everyone going into every single game nervous. But yet this team has come out consistently with answer after answer after answer. The question should be, when does it come a point that the fans' mentality switch and believes?
That's a great question, Dave. And I've been saying it because at every juncture, Paul and I lightly talked about it today on the phone. I think it was. People will always nitpick, say, oh, you only beat them because of this. Oh, you only got a point there because of that. Oh, this, that, and the other. At some point, to me, I've always said keep doing that, because at some point, that little laundry list they have of excuses and reasons that they make up, eventually that list is going to run out, and they're going to be like Santa Claus at the end of it. Like, I guess I have to give them credit. And that's what I'm waiting for, is that day. I don't mind. Keep doubting us. Keep believing that we're just these lucky Spurs. Oh, they'll fall off eventually. I mean, eventually, look, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I just want to enjoy what we're doing while also being critical of things that we can be better at going forward. And I think being, critical of some of these players, it's not negative. It's just, like you said, we're so blessed to be in a position where we're nitpicking what could have been better. Not, okay, there's one guy who was good and where's anyone else? Or this guy is the only one who had a good game and everyone let him down. It's like, all these people were good, and I mean, I guess I could have expected more from Kulusevski with the touches. I guess if he made his mind up quicker, we could have been up 3-0 in the first half, sure. But again, we're nitpicking a 2-0 win. Second half, yes, we were not perfect, but again, like I said off the top when I came in, 2-0, we kept a clean sheet then for 90 minutes. So make what you will of the second 45, we did not concede a goal. People will say, oh, when it's better competition, it may be a different story. Yeah, well, we've played better competition. And what was the story at the end of it? We got points. Undefeated, baby. So I don't know what else.
When you said there, David, we've played 3 of the big 5, and I'm thinking Liverpool, Arsenal. Oh, yeah, Man United. Remember them?
Remember those guys? Yeah.
2-0 win versus them. Got doubted by that, too. Oh, it's just United. Oh.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And so, Paul, where are you on Brennan Johnson's appearance today? Because
so those 2 subs, or those 3 subs, came on at the 80th minute. And as far as Valise and Brennan Johnson, I just don't think they had much of a chance. Mainly, the ball was really getting to them. Either, the only way they were getting the ball is by nicking it off Fulham defenders, or really when it was, charges up from Pedro Porro, or more of the defence rather than the midfield. The midfield sort of went a little bit quiet. So I'm not going to read anything into Brennan Johnson or Valise today. I thought, what else can you do? So I'm not worried about it. It's cool. Cool.
Okay. Well, how about this? Valise and Brennan Johnson are 2 very different case points, though. Valise, very, very young. Brennan Johnson has Premier League under his belt, did very, very well in the championship. He should be able to hit the ground running, but he's had his injury. He's had his time off. Do you see the fight really being between Richarlison and Brennan Johnson, as some people are making it out to be? Or do you see it being Brennan Johnson and Kulusevski? I frankly think it's more Brennan Johnson and Kulusevski. I think Richarlison is more of a problem rather than a fight for places against people, because I'm convinced Brennan Johnson is really a right winger, even though so many people talk about him starting on the left. I've seen him start on the right most of the time. I think he's better on the right. Do you think that it's more Richarlison who should be worried about his spot, or Kulusevski should be worried about his spot with Brennan Johnson?
I'd agree with you that Johnson seems to be better on the right, so it's probably Kulusevski. But it's a good problem to have, isn't it? Because we're not talking about, even if I'm talking, your opinions may differ, but I thought Richarlison had a really good game on the left today. So it's not like he's replacing someone who's rubbish, who can't hit the cow's ass with a banjo. We're talking about him replacing a good player in Kulu or a good player in Richarlison. So I don't know what the answer is. All I know is it's a great problem for Ange to have. I mean, and outside of that, you got Hill, Solomon when he comes back from injury. That it's looking really. I think it's looking really bright all over the pitch.
Okay, I got you.
In the bloody league. Listen, right?
So this,
I'm 51 years old, right? I have never in my life seen a start to a season like this. Never. It's never happened. And every season, I'm always saying we're going to win the league, and I'm always full of it. But this year, I think we might actually. We've got a chance of doing it. You know, I'm saying we're in a title race. I know some people aren't. I'm saying we're in a title race, and I'm saying at the moment we're playing the best football. We're the odds-on favourites, to use a nasty betting term. But I think we're favourites. We're better than the other teams. It's not just that we're 2 points ahead. It's not just that we're getting results. We're playing bloody good football, so that we are going to win. We are going to win the league. That's what we're going to do.
Come on.
Well, damn straight to bloody good football. So, I mean, that is my end question. But before I get to that, and you know what, you could just mimic exactly what you just said, because I think we know exactly where Paul lies on the title race question.
Deluded.
Completely down to earth is what it is. Is realistic and without hyperbole whatsoever. But that's the kind of guy he is. My question that really just popped in is the Hill Messi question. Would you have liked to have seen Bryan Hill make an appearance today? And if so, where would it have been? When? Who would he have come on instead of? And where would he have played? David, I'm going to go with you first. You're the big Hill Messi fan here.
Look, I would have loved to have seen the kid given minutes, but I think them minutes probably would have came, and I think a lot of them other substitutions would have been made earlier if we were 3-0 up, 4-0 up, and took our chances that we sort of had. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out like that, and I can understand why Postecoglou left some of them subs late, because it's quite clear to me he doesn't trust them. He could have brought them on 70 minutes and rested guys for Friday, but he left it to 82 minutes because he doesn't trust the guys that he's bringing on, in my opinion, to see it out for a longer period. But look, Gil, like everyone else, he has to earn them minutes, and when they come, it's up to him to take them. I would say to Gil, hang in there. Them minutes will come. You are a Postecoglou player in terms of your work ethic off the ball and on the ball. I think you're a Postecoglou player. I think he should have got minutes on the left-hand side instead of Johnson. But where I'd really like to see him play, being brutally honest, is where Lo Celso came on for Madison. That's where I want to see him play. Through the middle, go left or right, take him down, free kick central.
Okay, that is thank you. That is really where I was getting at. Do you see him not just playing in the winger role? Do you see him as a central attacker? And is that the kind of substitution you'd like to see? What about you, Jacob? And where do you stand on Hill Messi on the bench? Would you have liked to have seen him make an appearance, or are you okay with the substitutions as they were?
I'm okay with the substitutions as they were. I'm told Bryan Hill's supposed to be a left winger, and that's where we're exploring the option of Brendan Johnson who is our number one target, allegedly, what I'm made to believe is our number one target from Ange Postecoglou. So with that being said, it should be Brendan Johnson coming off the bench. Look, but at what point there was a moment there where it's like Richarlison was moving a little slower. Yeah, maybe at that point, 70th minute or so, bring in somebody. But at that point, it's got to be Brendan Johnson, in my opinion, because he is that marquee signing. I'm not the biggest Bryan Hill fan. I've been a big Hill doubter. I just ain't seen enough from him personally for me to be like hyped up about him. I think he doesn't fit this league. I think he was better suited for the sunshine when it's nice to play in Spain. And I don't think he's ready for a cold, rainy night at Stoke on Wednesday or whatever day of the week that saying is. I just think that's just my assumptions and perceptions of a player, which can be 110% wrong. It's just how I see it. I just haven't seen enough from him. Like, 20 minutes that he did at Palace, yay. And then the one dribble in the Champions League, thank you. And then Ashmatic today on We Are Tottenham TV gave me, I think, and one more example that I don't remember was against Pacos Ferreira or Ines Mura, one of those that he did something nice. So 3 instances in which I guess he did something okay. And it's to me, I'm more, if I had to pick between Brendan Johnson and Bryan Hill, Brendan Johnson at least showed he can try to score in a dangerous area. But like I said, what I've seen from Bryan Hill has not been under Ange Postecoglou. So that's not that I'm still leaving the door open for him to mud me because Yeah, he's been injured, but not just he hasn't had a chance to really showcase what he can do to Ainge in the sense of some of these other players. But again, I doubt what Brian Hill can do. I doubt that he'll come in and be successful. That's just my personal take, which is can be wrong, y'all. It can be wrong, or it could be right. I don't know. Time will tell. But when he gets that opportunity, I wanted to see him. To answer your question, I know I'm doing the long form answer. To answer
Which
the
is all
question,
good.
Nick,
Mhm.
was would I have liked to see him? Yes. I said this.
Okay.
We are Tottenham TV. Let me see Hill. I've heard he's supposed to. I'm told he's going to work in an Ainge system. I'm told he's the perfect kind of player for an Ainge system. So let me see it. Let's see it. And let's finally figure out if it's true or not. Because if he didn't make it in a Nuno Conte system, that's one thing. But an Ainge system is not that system. So there could be the chance that he does be this player everyone thinks he is. There's a chance.
What
Dave?
I will say is, I think just quickly, there's a better chance of that happening. I was told all summer we need to sell Romero. He's done. Clearly, he is. Porro can't play a right back. Clearly, he can. I've been told so many things about a lot of these players, but they've all been wrong. With Gil Messi, just give him the opportunity. I think he will thrive. Look, if it doesn't work out on the Postecoglou, then his time is up.
Yeah, and that's what I want to see. I want to be able to finality, like, come to a conclusion. This is either a guy that will provide either depth or a potential starter at some position, or he's just not good enough like I initially think. That both of those things can still very much happen. I hope for the first. I mean, the aforementioned. I hope he comes alive, and he is. I was told when we signed him, we're signing the Spanish Neymar. I would love to see that. I would love to see it. So I hope it happens. I just don't think it will happen.
Well, Jacob, you got to stop reading the Sun and the Inquirer and getting your sporting news from those two publications, for one thing. But Paul, you know what? What I was thinking is along the lines with Dave. I wanted to see Hill Messi, and I think that he would have been a little bit more effective because of his tenacity, because of his willingness than a Lo Celso. However, I have a feeling that we're going to see Lo Celso next on Friday. I have a feeling that he's going to make an appearance. Where do you stand on Brian Hill? Would you have liked to see him? Would you like to see him substituted on the left? Maybe even the right? I see a couple of people in the chat with that, or maybe even centrally. What's your take on him?
I'd have done it exactly the way it happened because we won 2-0 and we're top of the league table. You know, I mean, ifs and buts, isn't it? And I'm going to crap on about this for a second because I'm seeing some comments flash by. I'm seeing people on other channels saying, "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's be realistic." If we say that and we don't win, people. What it comes down, I think people are just genuinely a little bit frightened and a little bit scared of saying we're going to win the league, and if we don't. What, an Arsenal fan's going to go, ha, 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 you said we're going to win the league and you did. Who gives a fuck what Arsenal fans say? And you know what? If this season keeps going this way and we do win the bloody league, I'm going to bust in every moment along the way knowing we're going to do it. Where all the people that are saying, oh, don't get ahead of yourselves, maybe they'll start smiling in fucking March and have wasted all these bloody months, you know? And I'll tell you another thing, right? You hear those fans at the stadium today, they're starting to bloody believe. Yeah. They're starting to sing the songs now. And don't forget, Ange Postecoglou himself, he told us, get ahead of yourselves. Because he knows if we, the fans, believe that the team can win the fucking Premier League, that makes it more likely for it to happen. It's all about energy and vibes and spirit,
yes.
man. We've got to start believing in this fucking team, man. We can do it.
Get in.
Fuck it if it all goes wrong. I'll deal with that later. I don't care about people laughing at me saying, fuck off. I don't care. Because I'm having fun right now.
You know what, Paul, baby. Man, write that down on a piece of paper, dry it up, crush it up, sprinkle it, send it to me in a bag so I can roll it up and I'll smoke that outside. Give me some more of that, my friend. We've been all over the place on here, and I'm going to wind up a little bit, and we know where Paul's heading on this one. We got a question here from Bobby K that I'm going to add an addended question to. It is, do you start Højbjerg against Palace to save Bastuma for Chelsea, where are we at with Basuma and his cards? When does it tick over for the actual cards not to be? We know he's serving the ban for the red on this particular match, but he's still got the sword of suspension over his head for another card. Does that tick over after Palace? Is that enough?
No, if he picks up a yellow again, the problem is if he picks up a yellow at Palace, he misses the Chelsea game through suspension again, through the accumulation of yellow cards. So, he does like a yellow card, Basuma. So, it's a good question. It's one that maybe Ange Postecoglou have to think about. Look, judging on tonight, I'd play Højbjerg. However, Palace.
I think Bobby K may have something right there. Especially if Basuma's on the bench and he's available, you start Højbjerg, man. Why not? Especially against Palace. This is a time for him to show that Højbjerg that you have confidence in his ability. And his ability to work with players like Madison and Sarr. And really put in a performance. So thank you, Bobby K. Bobby K, we all know, is a scholar and a gentleman himself. So when coming to the end, Bob, Paul Beatty is pretty sure that we're winning the Champions League this year. I don't know if I'll go that far, Paul.
We would if we were in it, but we'll win the Premier League.
I know, and I think we may win the Stanley Cup too, but that's only if they ice over the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But my question though is, each game that we're going into, basically the outcome, because it's a new project, because of the momentum, because of the narrative around it, the result of each game is going to dramatically change the outlook for this team going forward for the rest of the season, pretty much in everybody's eyes, particularly in pundits' eyes. So we won another game, man. We're undefeated now. So does that change your position where you think Spurs are going to end this season with this win? And does a win next season, does a win next game or a loss next game change that? What about you, Dave? Does this win change how higher up in the table you think we're going to finish?
Look, I believe we're going to win the league. I feel it. You feel the fans. Everyone's together. The songs. There's a different sort of atmosphere around Tottenham than in years gone by. It's completely changed. I look at the average age of that squad, 25, 26 years of age, young, hungry. They want to win things. They still have that desire. I look at Ange Postecoglou, and maybe where we've gone wrong is under Pochettino, right squad, but going into finals and stuff like that, Pochettino was maybe as nervous as the rest of them. He hadn't been there before. He didn't have that experience, that coolness that maybe that young squad needed underneath him to be able to maybe get over the line. Ange Postecoglou has that in him with this young squad. When the time comes and you need the coolest heads to prevail, Ange will be the coolest head in the room. He won't cry about getting to a final like what Pochettino did. So he will know how to handle the big occasion, and he'll get the players in the right mind frame for it once we get to there. And that's why you're seeing us in years gone by. For instance, today, we've seen it under Jose and Pochettino. When we knew the result we needed to get, we crumbled under the pressure. Ange Postecoglou ain't letting that happen. We're rising to that. And I just think if we can get the recruitment right in January, which we've got good signings the last couple of Januaries, Bentancur, Kulu, Porro, then it gives us every single chance. And look, I'm one of them. I started believing weeks ago. At the start of the season, once in and around the Kane thing, I was maybe a bit down about it and stuff like that. But Ange Postecoglou has pivoted, he's adjusted, and he's made all the pieces fit. He's made it work. And for me, I believe today's result doesn't change anything. I started believing weeks ago. Hopefully other people can get on that bandwagon. But we have all the right ingredients right now to make this work. People said Leicester wouldn't do it. They've done it. And it just goes to show if you dream hard enough, they can come true.
Big up to that, Big David. Am I still coming in clear?
Yeah, still there.
Oh, okay. All right, good. I made
maybe it's on my end lagging. I've been lagging all day.
No worries. Jacob, how about you, man? Does this change the your end position for the mighty Tottenham Hotspur? This next win, another win under Ange's belt, another notch on his bedpost.
I don't know that it necessarily changes my outlook of what we can do this season, because I feel like I've always left that open. For me personally, on every platform I've gone on, I said I'm trying to keep my energy the same now as it was in the summer, which was I want to see X, Y, Z, and A, B, and C. And I've seen all that and then some. So my expectations have already been superfluously exceeded at this juncture, that anything that happens, I'm just like, hell yeah, baby, put more whipped cream on that. And it's just, I'll take another serving, yes, sir. And it's just week in, week out. Like we've been saying, keep getting proving people wrong. Like Dave said earlier, I heard so many things. We all heard so many things about Son, about Romero, about this club, and a lot of these players, like our scouting, our recruiting, and like I've heard so many things that aren't being said anymore because they've been silenced. The myths have been busted. All the things they said about Son, I will never forget. I will never forget who and what they said. I remember someone saying, if you get an offer for 40 mil from anybody, you should take it for Son. That is the most ridiculous thing that I remember from the summer. But I'm keeping my energy where it was in the summer, which was I want to see great football, a pathway from the academy to the first team, a team ethos, everyone rallying behind the similar message, and everyone on that pitch deserving to be on that pitch because they will die for the badge. That's how I feel. And not just because they will die for the badge, but because they are good enough. Are we completed product yet? No. Ange Postecoglou's teams have always started here and continued to go this way. They're saying the same thing about Liverpool and Arsenal and City. Just wait till they get firing. Wait till we get firing. Wait till we get fired and then talk to me, because again, I'm not afraid of someone clipping me up and saying, "Oh, he put his neck on the line for his club." I'm not afraid of that. I just personally, I'm worried because I think today made it maybe one less position where I'm like, if we have this guy gone, we're a completely different side. But again, Madison goes out, Son goes out, Romero or Van de Veen, pick your poison. Either one of those, Udogi, any one of them people go out, I'm a lot more worried about where we end up. But today, we're all healthy, all 3 points. We dominated for 90 minutes. I don't care. People say, oh, it was a slow. I know Postecoglou was upset about the second half, said our worst half of football with the ball ever. To me, I ain't having it, Ainge. I'll look him in the eye and say, you're wrong. Give me a hug, because we got the clean sheet, and that's all that really matters. At the end of the day, if we didn't dominate the way we did, they maybe got 2-1, maybe 2-2 at the end in a rally. Who knows? That's yesterday's Spurs. Today's Spurs, all I know is I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. I don't know what tomorrow's Spurs may look like, but if it's anything like today's Spurs, you cannot tell me it's impossible that we could win the league. The football is the most beautiful sport. Anything can happen. The gods can bless you. They can curse you. Ange Postecoglou is like Moses right now. He's parting the sea, and he said, let's all go. And right now we're starting that journey, and people are scared. Oh, the water's going to come crashing down on me. No, it's not. Just wait. Just wait till we get to the end of this, because it's going to be so much sweeter. So for me, today does nothing, but it's just more whipped cream on top of my already naked body.
Well put, man. I brought up a biblical reference earlier in the show when I referenced Paul as being the man who wrote the Bible on Ange Postecoglou, and we're all just trying to catch up with the plot, So if Ange is Moses, that would make Paul Beatty, I guess, John the Baptist. Hopefully you keep your head. Where I'm going to land on it, man, is I've been hurt too bad. I've been hurt too often, and I've been hurt too hard. I'm a yid at heart, born to be, even though I only became one when I was 34. That being said, man, I believe that this team, as it is, can do it. But I'm just going to go back to that old chestnut strength and depth, man. There is no way that Romero is going to go the entire season without an injury.
He's a beast.
And I'm okay with it, man. He is, man. There's no way that Son is not going to have to be sat down because of his body at some point in time. It's just the law of averages. It's gonna happen, and I'm okay with it. This result does move Spurs' position at the end of the year, in my mind, the potential for it. They're moving closer and closer to Champions League spaces for me. For me, 7th in the Europa League, when we started, I was like, yo, so if we get in the Europa League with this coach and another year, we're going to take that year. The conference at 7th. If we're going to just rip holes right through the conference. It won't even be, we'll be able to play those games in our sleep. However, the field has changed. The dice have been rolled and everybody's in new positions now across the league. However, I think that we are going to have to turn to our youth, the ones that we have right now on the bench. And I don't really have a problem with that, because if not now, when are we going to do that? We know that these players, Phillips, Veliz, they need actual Premier League experience playing against professional players, and they're going to screw up. They are going to screw up, and they're going to have difficulty, and it is going to cost us points. And we have to understand that we don't have like for like in every single position. Yes, we may get closer to that next year, but we're going to have to go to our bench, and we're going to have to just be okay with the fact that we may drop some points here and there, but we're building to a much, much stronger future. Yes, it's possible if if all the planets align and we're playing Ange's way and go through without major injury problems, but I just don't see it happen. So I'm going right now a conservative solid 5th. I know that's not going to be popular, but that's where I'm going right now.
You're doing the
After
safety
Crystal
thing.
Palace,
You're doing the safety
change.
thing, Nick. You're doing the. I understand. You said it. You prefaced it all. Like, I understand. You've been hurt before. You put your neck and your heart on the line, and they hurt you down. And I get it, and I sympathize with it. I think all Spurs fans do. But what I will say is that was. Like, I remember being at the beginning of the summer, 6th place would be fantastic. 6th place and, competing in some cups and a great new philosophy would be all I asked for. But what I will say is, like, 5th to me, no way. There's no way. There's not 4 teams better than us, right? At this juncture, and even when they get better, like I said earlier, I think we will continue to get better. And that's where I just can't wait to see, because again, they're going to run out of things to say, Nick. And hey, it's okay to play it safe. I was saying this today on my show earlier. There's no right or wrong way to support Spurs, whether you are jumping in the pool or you're like me and I just got my legs in the pool, because I don't know yet that I want to get my whole undercarriage wet and my hair wet, because now I got to shower and get the chlorine out of my hair. I got my feet in. I'm cooling off from the nice sun. So, but Paul's splashing around. We got fans swimming laps, and I love it. But we have people afraid to get their toes into the water. They don't know that that's an investment they want to make yet. And Nick, I'm here to tell you, it's okay to feel that way. But once you get your feet in, I'm telling you, you're going to cool off so nice. Everything's going to be like a breeze.
Listen, Jacob, that's me, man. That's me all over. I'm that guy in the party. Everybody's in the pool. The girls got their bikinis on. I still got my shirt and my sneakers on, and I'm standing on the one step leading into the pool with my sneakers on, man. I'm a little shy like that. A good result against Palace, and honestly, that 2 derbies in a row. What a huge difference from our derby disasters of last season. But with that, fellas, it's getting a little late. My kids are literally banging on the door trying to get in. This is the playroom that I've just kind of etched out a little bit of space for me in here. So it's Lego time for them and time to brush their teeth. So with that, any parting words, Jacob?
Don't tell me what we can't do. That's it. Don't tell me what we can't do, because if you do, we'll do it. That's a motto I've lived by my whole life. My mom said, learn Spanish. You're going to use it in your whole life. I now live in a dominant Spanish-speaking city, but guess what I did? I went and learned German instead of Spanish just because my mother said learn Spanish. So don't tell me what to do or what I can't do, because I will show you that that's why I love a flying pig. I have it tattooed on my body, flying pig. Don't tell a pig he can't fly, because damn it, there goes one right now.
Well put, man. And a philosophy very similar to what my wife likes to say, which is don't tell me what to think. Paul Beatty, Paul Beatty, man, I'm slowly, sucking up the enthusiasm, man. because you know.
I'm start bollock naked dive bombing into the pool. Everything's out on show. Everyone's having a great old time. Last year we had like 2, 3, 4 chances of going top 4 or going second at one point, and every single time Spurs stuffed it up. This year we've had 2 chances of going top of the league. We've taken both chances. It's a different Tottenham, man. Different Tottenham.
True indeed. And David, I'll let you wrap us up, buddy.
Yeah, I just can't get the image out of. I reckon Paul's one of them guys. You know, he's the first one that's naked, and everyone's only on their first beer. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it, Paul. But look, guys. I mean, it's been a wonderful evening. We're back top of the league, remain unbeaten, 2 points clear, have a chance against Palace in 4 days' time to go 5 points clear ahead of a big weekend. What I will say is, understand why Nick maybe is a bit hesitant. You look at our next 2 fixtures, Palace away, regardless of what team we've had, we have gone there and struggled.
Yeah.
Not going to be easy. Chelsea then the following week, you just don't really know what you're going to get from them. But after that, we'll turn Nick into a believer, that's for sure. Please get over, subscribe to Paul Hotspur Hippie. The link is here in the chat. Get over, smash that subscribe button. If anyone doesn't know, he's the guy that sort of banded Ange Postecoglou's name around first. So make sure you get on that. And also get over and check out United Spurs of America as well. That is Jacob's channel. The link is also there in the chat. So hop on them. Nick, massive thank you, my man, for hosting tonight and kicking it off. Really appreciate your time. Gentlemen, really appreciate your time below. I know you're also busy bees, and all you guys out there, get out of here. Go to bed happy. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
Most important motto we should all adopt and live by: we never stop. Everywhere we go.